All right, and here we are. The name of the episode is Supernova. Boom, boom. Episode 16. We've been doing this for a while, guys. We've been doing this for a while, and we're trying to keep it going, keep it fresh, keep it Dungeons and Dragons, as always. So let us transition to Carrie. Let's do. Yeah, Carrie's the dungeon master. Yeah.
Okay.
Whoop whoop! Carrie's dungeon master in the house.
I feel like. Oh, okay.
I lost a gasm. Sorry.
Yeah. It's fine. Okay. So basically, we're starting a week from the return to Bronzewood Grove. From the end of the last episode. Um, I didn't really think about a recap of the last episode. Basically, the group have returned from rescuing Ellie's little brother, or not so little anymore brother, from where he had been kind of kept and was being trained for something. He has aged strangely within a space of a few months. He's gone from being 10 years old to 17 years old. But they did sort of work out that they can start trying to put those thoughts back together and take out the fake memories, and kind of leave him with a decent idea of what his life actually is, while also retaining what has been going on for them, for him. So, through that week, mostly it has been all kind of around helping Ren kind of get himself back together again. So it's mainly been Ellie and Leah working closely together to do what they can to help him. Leah has been using her powers to kind of get in there and put things back together in his mind, and pretty much Ellie has stayed more or less by her side. If she's not with Leah, she's with Ren, but they usually are all together. As the week's gone on, Ren has become more and more like himself. He kind of swings between being quite childlike and then also being a bit like a teenager, which is a little bit stressful. But they often have been sort of sitting around and like playing cards or playing like dice games, things that maybe Ellie and Ren used to play when they were kids, and they basically always ask Leah to play with them. Okay, where am I? And also, they have been telling lots of stories and talking about their childhood and what it was like growing up together. And they're all very happy stories. So I think this would be kind of not like it would be a stark contrast, I think, for Leah sitting and listening to Ellie and Ren talking about basically how great and like just innocent and nice their childhood was. But Ren has also been very eager to know more about the adventures of the group as a whole. Ellie used to write letters to Ren telling the story of these great adventurers and heroes. And he wants to hear all these stories of what has happened. But strangely, a lot of his questions are kind of focused on Eridu. Leah has noticed that there's been a few like extra kind of like, he'll usually follow up stories and it will be based around Eridu. Also, something else to notice with Ellie, she has recently started talking in her sleep. She seems to have nightmares. Through the day, she seems fine. It's almost like a weight has been lifted. She's almost lost all of this anger and whatever it was that was like driving her seems to have gone, and she's almost gone back to being quite childlike. But at night, she's been having bad nightmares. And because of this, she started to ask Leah to share bedrooms. She's been asking Leah if she can stay in the same room as her. And doing this has seemed to settle her a little. The rambling has become more like mundane and still just sort of like conversational rather than what used to be fear. Other than that, I'm going to kind of leave it to you guys to describe like what you've been doing. in that time. Start with whoever wants to start.
Yeah. Well, there's got to be some clear clarifications for what Eridu's been up to, and the fact that you last left him blind. So, I'll take that away for a quick moment. In the absence of the rest of the party, Eridu, Rue, and some of the druids who are concerned about the tree, they all went back into Twin Harbors on a mission to retrieve this. Uh, and in that time, Eridu and Rue had moments to spend quite a bit of time together. Rue had started to mistrust Eridu after he absorbed ticks, um, and kept a really close eye on him. Through their time in the harbors, Rue witnessed Eridu doing everything that he could to protect those in need and those who were, who were definitely in danger. And that seemed to have put him at ease a bit. Um, Rue still, doesn't necessarily trust the whole, hey, you've got this magic-y fey creature in this magic place that's all magic and I just want to punch it all, being inside of you. But at least he trusts Eridu's character enough to realize that absorbing ticks wasn't a bid for power. It was trying to help those who are less capable than he is. So with that being said, there is going to be a whole lot less of the Rue following Eridu everywhere, keeping a wary eye on him, and threatening to punch magic out of him. And also a whole lot less of Eridu being blind because they found his sticks. That's pretty much all that's been happening with Eridu in the downtime.
Excellent. I'll go ahead and go with Egner and say that in general, Egner has been up to his typical Grove kind of stuff. Bronzewood Grove, which is his home, that he stupidly invited a bunch of other people to stay at. It's kind of become the home base of our crew and our party for a while now. And whenever Egner gets back here, it's usually after some kind of harrowing experience, and he takes the opportunity to just max relax. It's like when you get home from a stressful day at work and all you want to do is crack open a beer and turn on the TV or whatever. It's like he's got that vibe where he's just kind of harumphing around, like drinking too much, making his same meal that he makes every single night, pretty much, which is a very bland but spicy stew. So he's just been kind of loafing around to the point where someone might wonder, like, man, what's up with Agner? Like, he's just being a loaf. He's just being a big old lazy loaf. But privately, he is doing a lot of thought and a lot of introspection. And he's got a burning question that he wants to ask to his goddess. And when he gets a decent opportunity to do that, he's gonna do that.
All right, Leah.
Right. Okay, now I'm unmuted, Eric. Yeah. I think I would also just like to maybe add on to something else that maybe has been going on in the week, is when Ren has all of these questions about stories and stuff, I'm sure that occasionally, at least, either Eridu or Agner would come in and tell parts of the story, with whatever is going on, and just a little more bonding. And then Leah gets to hear some stories that she never heard before as well. She's learning all kinds of new things about Eridu recently. There was the whole prostitution and the drug problem, like all that stuff. She's reconciling with that a bit.
Oh, Agner's gonna tell all the dirty deeds. He's like, he's drunk and his tongue is loose, and
It's laughing.
he's spilling some shit.
Yeah.
So that's fun. Also, I think one thing that Leah's been starting to try to do, just because she feels like she needs more variety in her life, is like presumably Eridu is still doing things like his monk-like exercises where he's being all dexterous and stuff. And if he's doing that, then she would like ask him to teach her some moves, kind of like Tai Chi or something. Which is my way of explaining why her dexterity has suddenly gone up from being like really bad to slightly not as bad. The other things are, yeah, she's been working really closely with Ellie. She's been daily consulting with Senna, and probably Senna has also been involved in like the actual work that she's been doing with Ren as well. And just basically renewing that mentorship aspect much more strongly. And has really just been focusing a lot on those things. And she's added a couple more scars to her arm that no one would know about except for Eridu, because presumably, once again, he just like listens to / watches her do her rituals when she thinks he isn't looking, because he's a stupid brother.
Voyeur? Oh, that,
Something
yeah.
like that. I mean, it's not really a voyeur because he doesn't seem to enjoy it at all.
No, not at all. And I don't mean that sarcastically. Like, it bothers him.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he was like actually crying last time, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
Scenarios do a lot of crying.
Yeah, it's, yeah, you know.
It's a thing that happens.
It's a thing. And it makes sense. And like what you were saying when she was listening to like all the stories about Ellie and Ren's childhood and being like, because wow, abusive dad situation, and like everything was bad and everyone hated me except for Eridu. Wouldn't it have been nice to have a different kind of life?
People don't have to live like this.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, so that's been Leah. She's been just kind of, this has actually been a rare opportunity for her to do what she wants to do while still focusing on things that are important to her, and like just kind of become more like settled in her new, like the way things are now. She's actually feeling like she kind of belongs here and maybe it's going to be okay. So, that's not going to go terribly wrong in like 2 minutes.
Nope.
Nope.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna, because I'm kind of leaving Matthew's character a bit of like a kind of surprisey thing. We're gonna not go into what he's been doing for the last week, if that's okay with you. Okay. But it's not because I don't want to know about it. It's just secrets. Okay. So we open at on a crackling fire. It's evening at the end of this week. The plan is that in the morning they're going to travel together to Ellie's home and take Ren home, basically, to try and maybe jog some of his memories more and reintroduce him to his parents. Now he's a little bit more like settled in himself. People are drinking. I mean, I was probably be drinking heavily like all week. And spirits are very high. On one side of the fire currently sits Ellie in between Ren and Rue. And on the other side of the fire sits Leah and Eridu. Agna is not there right now. And we're going to open on Leah and Eridu.
Leah, as usual, is not actually drinking any sort of alcohol, but she is enjoying the company and, feeling pretty relaxed and happy at the moment.
Yeah. Eridu will be, surveying the crowd, and it's a tragedy Halifax couldn't be here, but he had to go off on another one of his missions for Emily. By the way, when are you gonna make a move there? He's got eyes for you.
she's going to look horrified, grab Eridu and say, "This is not the place for that conversation."
Just strangle him. Just wring his neck.
You're just the proxy for Halifax now. No, she's gonna like say it's not like that, and fine, we're having this conversation, and she's just gonna like book it for like behind the nearest Diglu or something, and just assume that he's going to follow her.
Kind of looking up, seeing that nobody seems to have taken in this exchange, he gets up and follows.
I will say, you notice, as you get up, you do notice that Ellie seems to have noticed. Ellie seems distracted from. She's currently trying to teach Rue cards. It's difficult, but you can see that she's kind of like every so often looking off like out the corner of her eye, and then as she sees Leah get up and leave, she kind of like lifts her head a little bit to watch where she goes.
So what is this card called again? This is the king. It commands all of the other cards and what to do.
No, you're not supposed to tell us what cards you have. How are you trying?
I don't understand why would I hide from you my clear advantage.
She just sighs.
Cute.
All right, so yeah, Eridu follows Leah.
Okay, so once they're what she thinks is safely out of earshot, although she has no idea where Egner is, but she can only hope.
She's drunk. It's fine.
She'll turn to Eridu and say, "Look, I realize that we've been very awkward around each other. It's not like that's a very subtle thing, but it's not what you think. It's really complicated and irritating." And then she's going to launch into this like 10-minute rant about Halifax that I am not going to actually give to you because we don't have that kind of time. But the gist of it is she finds him incredibly frustrating because she sees his willingness to like jump in and help with complete disregard to his own safety and so on. And she feels like she could connect to that because she has a similar tendency, but he is so, in her mind, he is so amoral and like goes against everything that she stands for that she feels like sometimes she wonders if she ought to be fighting him as if he is a villain instead of like allowing him to be like part of the party and like in her life. And this is only compounded by the fact that every time she tries to talk to him about anything, like about that or any other number of conversations that she feels like she needs to be having with him, she just devolves into incoherent rage and cannot seem to be able to use her words, which for Leah is kind of a problem. And so she goes on this lengthy rant with like point by point examples of all the ways that he infuriates her and that she is infuriated by the fact that she's infuriated by him, and then winds down from it by just like, it's probably a good thing that he's gone, but honestly, Eridu, I do wish things were different. I wish that I could actually talk to him.
Eridu just kind of is just smirking at all of this. So he drives you crazy. You always feel that you have to be in conflict with him. You want to change him. And you seem to be putting a lot of focus into this whole mind control bit. I think perhaps you're using it as a way of maybe hiding your own feelings? Real feelings, rather.
What? That's insane. That is, Eridu, do you know nothing about me? You know what I care about. You know what I've dedicated my life to, why I destroy myself all the time. And you think that that's less important than any feelings that I might have for Halifax? I don't have feelings for people because that's dangerous. I have feelings at Halifax. I'm not going to deny that. and there's a lot of complicated shit there, but I don't see how that could, that is insane. And also, like, yeah, he doesn't have feelings for me either, so
Eridu,
he was very uncertain about that last bit, though.
you know, he sighs and says, you know, you've recently learned what it is I do for a living, or have done. I guess I'm not going to be doing much more of that anymore. Look at me. He kind of like traces a finger through the bark skin with a slight look of disgust. But it used to drive Villarin insane. He knew what I did when he got involved with me, but we had endless fights of the the nights that I would be out. But still, come morning, when I came home, he was there, and no matter how much he wanted things his way, he was patient, and well, he looked at me this way. I guess, looking back now, it was probably love for him. It's not unlike the looks that I see in Halifax's eyes. Not like the looks that he would cast towards Theala. I may not be an expert in love, but I am an expert in desire. I made a lot of money making that my business. And I can't speak for what anyone feels, but well, I guess I wish things could be different for you too. And if you see someone who looks at you like that, don't let it go.
Oh, Eridu. She's reeling a little bit from the notion that Halifax had a thing for Theala, because this hasn't really come up, but Leodin has a slight history with Theala. She knew her. They were not friends. But she doesn't actually bring that up, because obviously I think this might be the first that she's heard about Vilren, actually.
Yeah. It's about the first he's talked about Vilren since, he left.
Mm-hmm.
Vilren left, not Eridu.
Right. So, well, she'll put a hand on Eridu's and say, I didn't know that you were with someone who loved you. I'm glad that you had that. But you know that's not for me. I can't fall in love with anyone, because if anyone returns those feelings for me, I'll never know if it's theirs or if I've made them do it. I can't run that risk. And then she stops and just kind of stares off into the distance and is silent for a while, and there's beginning to be this alarm coming off of her.
Eridu taking this moment to actually wipe away the tear that he has hidden. Not often does he hide his crying, but in this moment he has. And he says, I think when someone genuinely has those feelings for you, you will know. You will know the difference between their affections and your own imprint. You can't fake something like love. You can't force it either.
Then what if I have to go. I have to think about something. That she is not telling Eridu about the dream situation that she had with Halifax and what may have been obliquely revealed to her at the end of that. She is not telling him about that, but boy, howdy is she thinking about it right now. So she'll put a hand on Eridu's shoulder and say, I would love to hear more about Vilren sometime if you're willing to talk about him, if you would like to. And maybe someday we can pick up that thread. I'm sure that if he loved you before, that would not change with the way you look. But I have to think about something right now. I won't be good company for that.
Yeah. I understand. And Eridu will also. He will go off into the woods.
Leah will return to the fire, but she is not. Her mind is not on what's going on at all.
Okay. We're gonna cut to Agner stood in front of what is, unless I don't think he's fixed it. I don't think Ellie would have let him. A broken, burned to the ground shrine of Your Honor.
Okay, can I set up a little intro?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So Egner's walking through the woods, blind as he is, and he had taken a quick stop at this other spot in the woods where he had set a snare trap earlier. He's got survivalist skills, you know, he can do shit like that. So he trapped a rabbit, and he went to the snare trap, picked up the dead rabbit. So he's walking to the destroyed shrine that he made for Urana, and in his left hand he's got the corpse of a rabbit, and in his right hand he's got his bottle of homemade rye whiskey, emphasis on the homemade, and also in his right hand he's got a huge knife. It's kind of like a Bowie knife kind of thing. So he's got the knife and the whiskey, and he's got the dead rabbit, and he's walking through the woods drunk as a skunk, and he's like singing at the top of his lungs, you know, so singing something like, I went on down by the shipyard and I saw a girl with flaxen hair, and I went on down by the shipyard, there was the prettiest girl there. He really cannot carry a tune very well, but he doesn't give a shit. And as he walks into the clearing and realizes that he's in the presence of the shrine, he hasn't yet noticed that it's completely destroyed. But he knows that he is at the place where the shrine is. And he says, all right, Your Honor, better get ready, because the tables are turned. The turntables are turning on you. You're the one who always talks to me, but things are different now. Things are different now, and I am going to be the one who talks to you this time. Yeah. And I went on down by the shipyard, and then he continues to sing. Did you have anything else you want to say?
No.
Oh, okay. Just keep on going. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Because I've got a whole scene in mind. You know, I've got this whole scene in mind. So Egner continues to sing, and at this point he puts the rabbit down in front of the shrine and like splays it out on its back. You know, kind of gets it ready as if he would start dressing the animal, and he puts the bottle down. He puts the knife down. Kind of does a couple of stretches, cracks his knuckles, and then he starts feeling around the ground with his hand to find where the rabbit was again, and then he starts to feel like wood chips, like really sharp little chips and broken shit, and he goes, what happened? And then he starts to feel around and get a full idea of how. So the shrine before, it was just like a big stump, just a big cut off wood stump that Agner had meticulously carved to look like it was spiders' legs that are in this like concentric overlapping circle, overlapping on each other. And now the stump is just a big hollowed out pile of wood chips, essentially. So Agner feels around and starts to get a scope of all the damage that was caused. And he says, "Oh gods. I hope it still works." Huh. I don't know. Well, I'll figure this out. I'll figure this out later. And I walked on down by the shipyard, and he continues to sing, grabs the Bowie knife, and like starts at one end of the rabbit and just cuts this huge line down the rabbit's middle and opens up the insides. He reaches into a pouch and grabs several blocks of incense that he used for a ritual in the previous episode. And he's also got several dried herbs. And he stuffs it inside the rabbit's guts. And then takes his Bowie knife and a piece of flint. And as he starts to hum now, he starts spraying the sparks all over the dried herbs, and then they catch. The incense starts to burn with the herbs. There is the stench of burning rabbit fur and viscera, and it's quite disgusting. And Agner, very proud of himself, picks up the bottle yet again and sings even more loudly before and says, "You, hold on, let me grab my prop. Yorana, you're just I don't even know what to call you anymore. Instigator? I mean, you're a liar, first of all, but, I mean, look, I'm really confused, and I don't even know if this is going to work because someone destroyed my shrine, but if this does work, then, I mean, I've got a question for you." And he's just going to keep on, like, rambling and drinking as the clearing fills and fills with the smoke. At some point, he'll like realize that he has to do something else to actually cast the spell, but he will cast the divination spell.
All right. You can cast the spell. What are you saying as you're casting it?
I'm saying, all right, Yorana, I have rambled enough. And I hope I didn't mess this whole thing up by rambling too much. But I got a question for you, and the question is, was it you? Were you behind this whole thing? Did you make me blind? Did you make me into this monster that I am? Or was I like this the whole time?
There's a brief pause, and then you hear in the back of your mind, it's like a soft laugh, like not like a mocking laugh. It's almost comforting, but it sounds kind of like pleasantly surprised. And then you hear a voice come back. "Well, isn't this a treat? I was wondering when you were going to use your gifts to contact me directly, Agner. Not one for pleasantries, though, are you?"
I mean, I just figured it out, and I didn't know that I was supposed to do pleasantries. Look! Who the fuck needs pleasantries? You didn't care much for pleasantries the last time that you were around. Yeah. I can hear you blushing in embarrassment because the rest of them, they told me what you did. Even though you were trying to keep all of that from me. Oh, I mean, I heard about it.
Oh, Agner, I was perfectly pleasant to you. Just not the others, but what does that matter? matter.
Look, why would you show them that? Why would you show them what I'm the most ashamed of in my entire life? Why how would that help anything? How would that help me? I thought you cared about me. I get obviously I was wrong, but I truly felt like you cared about me.
Of course I care about you, Agner. If they are real friends, it won't matter to them, will it?
No, you're just twisted. You're just hold on, you're distracting me. No, this is all some kind of game and you're distracting me from what I really want to ask. Did you make me blind? I thought it was Vishun and those ISCB fucks the entire time. But I mean, I don't know why I think this way, but I'm convinced. I'm absolutely convinced that it was you this entire time that did that to me.
Well, this isn't quite the conversation I was looking forward to when you got in touch with me, Agner. But I'll play along, despite this not really being how this ability I gifted you works. But no, I did not make you blind. Why would I make one of my dedicated clerics blind? How would that help me?
I don't know. I mean, I still don't understand how spilling the beans on my fucked up past would help you either. But you did that, so why are you asking me the questions? I'm the one who's asking you the questions right now.
Yes, dear, I suppose in a way you are. No. If you want to know who made you blind, I would go and have a conversation with your dear old friends at the ICB.
I don't want to see them again. But but the way it works with them is that it doesn't matter if you don't want to see them; they'll see you. So, I suppose that'll happen. Yeah, way to be an all-powerful goddess and pass the buck right on to them. It's real impressive. At this point, Egner has been like spinning around and like losing his balance, so he actually like sits down on the ground in front of the burning rabbit and has to sit cross-legged to stay steady. And he takes another drink, passing the buck right along, just like a divine thing would.
You feel cold, sort of ethereal hands on your shoulders, and they run up into your hair, and it leaves like cold tingles all down your body, and it feels like she's there, like holding you up, essentially. And then you hear her voice again, but this time it feels like almost like she's doing it directly into your ear, like whispering into your ear. I'm not passing the book, Agner. I'm giving you the information that you need. I'm looking out for you always. You know that.
I don't believe it anymore. Look, I mean, this is hard because like I don't want to come off as ungrateful. I mean, the powers I have, the things that I can do now, it's fucking incredible to be honest. I don't know how I could get around in the world without what you've given me, but I just keep getting this sinking feeling that it's not real, that it's not really how it is. I keep thinking that I'm this fucking puppet and you just got the strings and you're just on the other side of it, and you can just move it here and make me do this, and you can move it here and make me do that, and I'm fucking sick of it. Fucking sick of it.
I think you've been listening to those people you call friends a little too much, Agner. I mean, they don't know anything about how any of this works. They're mere human and elves, I guess. I mean, really, they should be worshipping me. I mean, they're... Well, we don't need to get into that, do we? Just maybe take things that the people around you say with a pinch of salt.
Okay. Alright. I mean, I already feel like I can't trust anyone, and you just make me feel like I can't trust anyone again. So I double can't trust. Can't double trust. Double can't. Fuck. Look. And at this point, Egner makes a big effort to, like, try and stand up on his own 2 feet, and he eventually does it. And he points an accusing finger over at some direction, which is not, like, the correct direction at all. He's not pointing to the shrine. He's not pointing. He's just, like, pointing somewhere. And he says, "Look, I don't trust them, but don't think that I trust you. I don't trust you either. I don't trust fucking anyone. Any force. I'm going my own way. Alright?"
You hear like a slight laugh, and then like a and then you feel like a kiss on your cheek, but there's no one there. It's just like you feel like cold lips on your cheek, and then she says quietly, "Well, you know where I am when you come around." And then you feel her drop away. The connection's gone.
Egner will freeze, and he'll have this, like, strange moment where it's like the icy feel of the kiss on the cheek, like, gives him this very sober moment of clarity that lasts for a little while, and then he eventually snaps out of it and almost falls over. And then he's overtaken by this sense of frustration and rage. He walks over to the destroyed shrine where the bunny is still filled with herbs and incense, and it's burning, and he just takes his boot and just stomps on the rabbit and the incense and puts out the smoldering smoke. Takes his fucking bottle of whiskey, takes his Bowie knife, and stumbles out of there wordlessly.
Okay. We are gonna cut back to around the fire now,
Be right back.
where Leah has rejoined the people at the fire, but she, as I presume, has sat kind of back where she was before, kind of away from the others. Ellie, Rue, and Ren are still playing cards on the other side. As Leah sort of sits down, what's kind of going through Leah's head? How's she feeling right now?
Well, she's kind of torn between, like, she knows that there's something that she needs to actually think about pretty hard right now, but she really doesn't want to. She's been trying not to think about this for weeks now. So she's kind of staring into the fire and just trying to figure out what to do next. While definitely a certain, at least small amount of anxiety is coming off of her. And definitely some confusion. And she's just staring into the fire and trying to figure out what she's going to do.
So as Leah sits down and starts to think, over on the other side of the fire, Ellie's been distracted from this game for pretty much the whole thing. And when she sees Leah come back over, she turns to Rue and Ren and says, "I'll be back in a minute, okay?" And puts her cards down, face down on the floor, and stands up and makes her way around to Leah. She sits down on the... I imagine they're logs. I imagine logs are on this fire. She sits down next to Leah, like, close, like, right next to her. And sort of turns and looks at her and says, "Are you okay?"
I'm not very good company right now, Ellie. I have something complicated I have to think about, and I don't really want to.
Well, you know that you can talk to me about anything, right? If you need to talk about it, I'm here.
Uh, Probably not. Uh, it's not something that I need to trouble you with.
Okay, well, if that's what you think, then yeah, you're probably right. But if you need to, I'm here. Um,
You probably don't want to be near me right now. I'm not particularly good company, and I feel like my emotions aren't going to be doing anyone any favors. I should probably leave, honestly.
she leans over and wraps her arms around you in a hug, um, and says, "Please don't leave."
I, I don't know why you would want me to stay at the moment.
I like having you around.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm glad that we're friends. I feel like I really I appreciate you. I think of you as kind of like a sister to me now. Um, but nonetheless, I maybe we should talk tomorrow or something.
She rests her head on Leah's shoulder, and says, um, "Well, that makes me really happy that you think like that. I think you're pretty amazing, you know. Um, just getting to be around you and sharing what you feel, it's pretty amazing." Um, and then she kind of like her voice lowers a little bit, and she says, "You know, I mean, you could try casting calm emotions. It might help you, and I quite enjoyed it last time you did that. Um, you could do that."
Why would you want to feel my emotions, Ellie? Why would anyone?
It just makes me feel closer to you. I like feeling this close to you.
Oh, oh no.
Did I say something? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, 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 it's not. It's not you, Ellie. It's not. Oh, God, it's not you. It's I'm so sorry. I I have to go. Go enjoy your card game. We'll talk about this later. Just just I'm sorry. And then she will bolt up from the log and just probably she'll run in the direction of whatever igloo she's been staying in, the one that Ellie has also been staying in. Um, and just she, this is more than just anxiety coming off of her now. This is full on like classic Leah fear and guilt just radiating off of her, and probably like other people at the fire could have felt that before she ran off, because it was, yeah, no, her, she, no control whatsoever. So she's just tearing for the Digloo at this point.
What is Eridu doing right now?
Eridu's taking a walk in the woods, uh, kind of taking some time to spend in the moonlight, and just being alone. And, this might be a good opportunity somewhere for Tix to whisper in the back of his mind while he's all alone.
Ruh-roh, Reggie.
If
Yeah.
that's something you wanted to do. If
I
not,
mean, I've not planned anything for Six to say. um,
Scared.
yeah, I mean, is this so? Would you say that it's something that's kind of been happening, or would this be like a new thing?
it's been getting a little bit louder, but when Eridu is this will probably be the first time it's really happened so overtly. But when Eridu's feeling emotionally vulnerable, a little bit weak, that's when Tix will chime in. That's when Tix will play his most devious of games.
So, I have no idea what to do. So I'm just gonna say I have no idea what to do for that. Like, do you want to kind of talk through what that might be like and what he might be saying, or do you want to kind of leave it as like a secret kind of thing? We'll come back to it. Like,
I think what will happen is Eridu will, in the moonlight, he will pull from his sword sheaths, the one that he'd taken from the drow. He'll pull out the sticks, which have actually been honed to a blade of wood, and where there was like this sort of wisp of whitish energy that was the remnants of the healing power coming out of it, that is sort of sheened onto the blade, and it's sparkling in the moonlight. He'll look at his his newly made short swords, and then like sheathe them in contempt, and Tix will just whisper, "Oh my, you've made yourself fancy little killing tools, haven't you?" And Eridu will just grit his teeth and stay out of my mind and let me be. That's not Eridu's voice, but you know what I mean. That's all I really had.
yeah. Cool. And what is Agna doing?
Egner is pretty much stumbling back to Bronzewood Grove. He'll make a beeline for the crackling fire. Whomever is around the fire still when he gets there will have an interesting sight of him walking up, well, still with his Bowie knife out that is covered in rabbit blood, and he's still got a little bit of whiskey left in the bottle. And let's see, his boots are just like really fucked up, covered in blood and ash, and his hands are also covered in the rabbit blood, and he's just still singing that stupid little song that he was singing before, and he doesn't necessarily acknowledge anyone who's around the fire when he gets there, but he'll sit down on a log and just take a long swig, drain the rest of the bottle, and then toss it into the heart of the fire. And then he'll try and figure out, oh, the knife, and he'll try and find where his sheath is. And it looks dangerous for a second because it looks like he might just fucking stab himself in the gut trying to get the knife back in the sheath. But he eventually figures it out. Oh, fucking fuck. He's a mess right now, everybody. He's a mess.
What else is new?
Yep.
So, interesting a bit, but yes. Okay, so in Leah's Digloo, with these waves of just complete confusion and guilt and everything that you're trying to process, something. So you make it into the Digloo, and once you're in there, as you start sort of, I don't know, pacing to try and start working out like what you should do, there is a flash of light, and it's followed by a wave of heat that hits you. It's almost like it's so powerful you can feel it almost like physically hit against you, and a fire-wreathed portal appears in the middle of the room. Out of the portal tumbles a tiefling man. He rolls and lands on the floor on his back. His clothes and his skin are smoking ever so slightly. And just as the portal pulls closed, A tiny moth floats after him and hovers around where he lays. Soter, you're lying on the floor on your back, blinking up at this roof. It kind of looks like it could be a roof. It also just looks like dirt. Do you want to describe your character, what Leah sees properly?
Okay, sure, I can do that. So Soter is a relatively young tiefling with really quite dark purpley skin, and seems to have somehow cleverly accented that with very bright red hair, kind of like deep red hair. And for some strange reason, he also seems to have this like a scarf around his kind of the bottom of his face, not quite like bandana like, just for some reason trendy, even though he seems to have just come out of flames. Who knows? Nobody really knows. But he's also, weirdly enough, clutching what looks to be like a lantern on a stick. Which, as far as anyone can tell, is just a lantern on a stick. There's nothing special about it whatsoever. He's just your typical tiefling, so he's got some nice big kind of horn-like things sticking out of his head. But apart from that, he just seems to be normal, if you can call it normal, popping out of a flame portal. Son of an Asimar! Where am I?
Nice.
What is happening right now?
Okay, right. Who are you?
I am Leodin, and who are you?
Okay. No, where am I?
You're in Bronzewood Grove.
Okay, I shouldn't be here. And I just turned. Soter turns towards this sort of illuminated giant moth. I told you that's not where the portal was supposed to end up. Told you we needed to keep going. Now how am I supposed to get there? No. And it's almost like he's having this weird conversation with a moth. Like, I told you, it needed to be further away. But, it's going to be broken now, isn't it? And I turn towards Leah. What's your name again?
Leodin Sumaria.
No, that's legitimately means nothing. Right. And I just kind of I look for the door, and I just walk out.
Well, Leah will let you. However, I was wondering if I could make any sort of roll to see if there's anything about this situation that Leah could recognize. I don't know what kind.
Insight? Okay, it depends on what you're kind of trying to recognize specifically, but...
She's just trying to put together why on earth this situation could be happening. But she does, she has a little bit of history with Tiefling stuff now. And she's just trying to, it's kind of just like triggering sort of a nagging question in the back of her head. And so she's trying to follow that thread.
Straight intelligence, I guess? Or an insight, if you wanted.
Or what?
Or insight, if you want.
Well, insight will be a higher score, but intelligence might be more accurate for what's going on.
Intelligence, then.
Okay. I think that, let me just check really quick. 15.
Okay. Your initial thoughts go to the last time you saw a portal open like this has something to do with a crazy old wizard. However, he doesn't seem to be around. But then that leads you to remember and kind of trigger that memory of what you learned about when you went on that adventure, about the tieflings, which then leads you to think about Shah, which then would lead you to think about how she spoke to you at the end of the last episode when you were in the sort of like church kind of shrine place. Like, yeah.
You also have the fact that Siren is a tiefling.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. Well, she might just she'll turn and follow this agitated young tiefling out the door and just say, is there something I can help you with?
Well, that depends. I mean, obviously, this did not work out. And I glance around outside and I notice the campfire. Wait a minute, are you guys together or?
We are a group of companions who currently live in the same area.
Okay, that's good. I could use that. Where are you guys headed?
Nowhere at the moment. Tomorrow we were planning on leaving to reunite some family members with each other.
That sounds fantastic. Where?
I have no idea.
I also have no idea. You give a town name. It's fine. You give it a town name.
Okay. That is in the same direction, I think. Where I'm headed. Awesome. You sure you guys can't leave like now?
I don't know, because I may be leaving by myself now. If you want to know where everyone else is going, perhaps you should go to the campfire and ask.
Well, you know, when I ask where you're going, generally, if you're going to two places, you normally just kind of say that you're going to two places.
I hadn't made that decision yet, but now the more I think about it, the more I think that I will be going, but I don't know where. Just elsewhere, somewhere.
Well, that sounds cryptic.
Can Eridu be coming in from the woods now?
Yeah.
Okay. So, the first thing that happens is a blade shoots right by. I'm sorry, Matthew. What is your character's name again?
Soter.
Soter. Okay, right past Soter's head and impales in the tree, not far away from him. And then this shadow, this like strand of shadow with little bits of moonlight sort of glittering off of it, connects to the end of that blade, and it's yanked free and comes back and lands in Eridu's hand. He's got the other blade in his left hand. These things are connected by this shadowy thread. He sheathes one of them and says, "And who are you? And don't think you're going anywhere without me, Leah."
As soon as I feel the dagger flying past my head, I turn to the direction it came from. And just when you think that this giant lantern is just a lantern, it turns out to be a spear, and I point it, hands together, directly where the blade came from.
Ooh, hidden spear.
Nice.
It's like the sword cane, but weirder.
It's the
spear
spear
lantern.
lantern. Patent pending.
Hell yeah.
Leah will step between the you know the end of the spear and where the Eridu is coming from, and say, Eridu, there's no call for that. This person, I didn't actually catch your name.
I suppose we're doing this then. The name is Soter.
Soter just appeared, and we're now trying to figure out where he needs to go and what he needs to do. And yes, we need to talk, Eridu. We need to talk about why I'm going to be leaving, because I really think I need to, but maybe not now.
Right. Well, strangers showing up unexpected in the groves has not been a good sign lately.
Well, it worked out all right with Marjorie.
I'll sheath my final sword, though, and say, but, you know, I'll give you the benefit of a doubt. You will be leaving, right? That is your plan, passing through?
Oh, trust me, I never meant to be here. Call it a freak accident of nature.
Right. Soter, what do you need? Where are you going? How can we help you be on your way?
Well, I certainly don't need to be here. I need to get to Tempesthold. And, yeah. Let's just say some things didn't work out the way they were supposed to. But I believe you guys are heading off to family something reunion. I don't know. They don't tend to invite me to these things. So, yeah, you guys got room for one more?
Is your destination on the way?
That's what we were just trying to figure out. I'm going to say yes. It very much is.
Right.
I know. Okay. I want to roll an insight specifically to figure out why he has just decided that his destination is where our destination is.
Word.
And I want Agner to stumble in drunk and do something weird.
I was thinking about it. I was certainly thinking about it.
I have a 30/20 on my insight.
Do you wanna? I struggle with doing player against player insight checks.
Opposing something? He's not lying.
Well, it's gonna be.
Or is he?
Do it. Okay, so Matthew, roll a either deception or persuasion. You don't need to tell us
Ooh,
what it is,
there you go.
and then
There we go.
you can respond to Alex's 30/20 based on your roll. I trust you, and you can send me the roll if you want, but
We all trust each other here.
And that shall be your downfall. Sorry, what were your questions?
Oh, just
Oh.
about why is your destination suddenly their destination?
Oh,
She thinks
conveniently.
it's suspicious.
Sure, she can actually ask him that, I suppose, instead of just trying to squint at him.
I mean, you can squint all you want, but as far as you can tell, you never actually stated where your destination was.
Right.
And I was, Soter seems very, very agitated anyway. Doesn't seem like he's listening too much.
Okay, so she'll try and get his attention basically and say, how is it possible that you you need desperately to be somewhere, and you think that we are going to take you there when you don't really actually know where we're going.
Well, I mean, I literally just spoke to you, and you said you were going somewhere. I believe it's probably on the way. Strength in numbers. In case you haven't realized, this isn't the best time to be a tiefling. So, especially one that seems to just kind of, not be any form of servant, slave, thing in chains. So it usually comes in quite handy being with a little group of others.
Well, listen, we have definitely encountered situations where that have shown us that the tieflings have been dreadfully mistreated, and I empathize. Well, I sympathize, and I would definitely want to do anything that I can to help you. But shouldn't your goddess be assisting you now?
At this
Um,
at this point, I'd really like Egner to jump in, because that seems like a really good entry point for him. He
Yeah, sure.
he walks into the frame. Obviously, he's been listening in on the conversation as he's been walking forward because he's got the super hearing. But now he comes into the frame. He's found a new bottle. I think in the distance next to the fire, you can see Alan sitting down, sipping a little bit. It seems like Alan has refilled him. So Egner comes by with a fresh bottle of whiskey, and he says something about how, what I've learned about goddesses recently is that they're pretty much useless. Pretty much useless. They really just don't really have any good advice, and they're not helpful in any way. And I tell you what, I don't even know this guy. And he points over at Soter. I don't even know this guy, but Urana told me to not trust people, and you know what I'm starting to do is I'm starting to do the opposite of whatever Urana says. So I'm trusting this guy. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what y'all have against him. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. I've hung out with some tieflings in my day. Decent folk. Decent folk. Misunderstood. Can drink you under the table. Yeah, but good people. So what was it? Soter? Yeah, Soter. You know what? I'm sorry for my friends. They've been a little on edge recently. I'm sorry for them, but you're cool. I know you're cool. And look, if you're hungry, I think we have food. Yeah.
It's not good food, she stage whispers to Soter.
I did get the strangely pungent smell of a rabbit as I entered. I don't think that rabbit went to a good place.
Oh yeah. No one worry about rabbits. Why are you asking about rabbits? There's nothing to say about. There's nothing to say about rabbits.
Is it stuck to your foot, though?
No, no. That's I just stepped in a mess of something else. Yeah.
I mean, I was tempted to agree with your friend until I'm assuming he is your friend, of course, until he blatantly said, I'm going to trust everyone, for that is a recipe for disaster. However, it does seem to work in my favor. So can I take you at your word for that, Mr. I didn't catch your name.
The name's Egner Bosch. Egner Bosch. People have called me worse things than that, but you should call me that, Because that's my name.
Oh God.
People have called me worse things, but you should not call me worse things.
Well, Leah wants to make so many snarky asides about Agner's judgment while he's on whiskey, but she knows he'll hear them, so she won't.
And let your
So
let your
I can
other comments slide. Sorry, Matthew.
No, on you go, on you
No, you go.
go. So I assume we're all in agreement then, and I just make a beeline for the campfire and just take a seat.
And as you come towards the campfire, Rue will shout loudly, "And I shall assault you with my army of hearts." And he slams a handful of cards on the table. Did I win?
No, Brew, no, that's not how you play blackjack.
Oh. Well,
Eh,
I am
eh,
still learning.
Egner sits down and takes another swig and says, you know what I say, Rue? Always hit on 17 is what I say. Always, 'cause fuck it. Why not?
He
Fuck
looks
it.
over at Ren's cards, which has happened to be laid out at 17, and he goes, "Hey, how are you doing?"
Always hit on.
Always.
Wow, Rue's learning things
He-
all the time.
Wow.
He spent a few days with Eridu. He clearly has picked up the
Oh,
ways to charm.
Ooh. Rue's gonna be a whore now. I like it.
I shall sell you my shiny metal ass. But that's all. I'm keeping the rest of me.
We're really on it today, guys. I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
I love
Great
it.
stuff.
Ellie will look over now, especially seeing that Leah's come back to the fire.
No,
and
actually, I'm going to say that maybe Leah trailed behind, but she is trying to keep her distance from the fire as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Either way, she sees people have come back over. And sees there is somebody new. So she gets up and sort of wanders over. Hi.
Hello there.
And she just kind of looks up at Eridu and Agner.
I can vouch for him. Hold on. I can vouch for him. I've decided that I can trust this guy.
Okay.
Is there a problem?
Eridu has also hung back a little bit with Leah.
Ellie can tell that Egner is especially inebriated right now. Especially so.
Leah will say very quietly to Eridu behind everyone, you should go discuss with them. I can't be near Ellie right now. Something's gone very wrong. That's why I need to leave. But this situation needs to be dealt with first. I hope you can be the voice of reason. I'm going to wait here.
Eridu, just looks at her, eyebrow raised. I would rather discuss the idea of you leaving. I imagine if I had not appeared when I did, you wouldn't have bothered telling me.
No, I would have tried to find you. I was just in the process of deciding that I would not have left without saying something to you. I think I've poisoned Ellie though. I think I've gotten to her the way that I used to, the way that I've been so afraid of doing this whole time. And
he looks at Ellie, and with a 20 and just kind of looking at her body language and everything. What's she currently doing?
She is stood in front of Soter, who sat down, looking like kind of confused. But you notice that every couple, like like every 10 seconds or so, she glances up to where she can see Leah, like
Yeah.
she's in eyesight. You can see her keeping on like every so often, like glancing up as if checking that she's still there.
Noticing that she's putting a lot of her attention towards Ellie and making the assumption that she might even be trying to listen into the conversation, Eridu's going to pull Leah into a close hug and then whisper in her ear, "Well, there is a simple way to deal with this. We convince her to go take Ren to her family and give some time for the effects to wear off."
I don't think the answer is making Ellie leave. I think the answer is making me leave. She's only the beginning. I might have done the same thing to Halifax. I don't know. I don't know who's next.
Right, well, then after we have Ellie separated from you for a little bit, because what we can handle is we do know that you have affected Ellie, and we do know that if you have affected Halifax, he is far away.
Yes.
Those we can deal with. Those situations have some space from you, and then we can go and talk with Senna. She seems to have the answers. She's helped you all out before.
Yes.
Then we'll figure out what to do next. But Leah, I am here for you, and I will help you in every way that I can.
I know.
And don't worry about Agnew. He's much too stupid to be affected by your emotions.
He usually doesn't recognize when I'm infecting him. That doesn't bode well.
Well, at least, my statement still stands. He won't notice, and he'll be okay with it when he comes to. He's a stubborn jackass. It's hard to really affect him for long.
Eridu, these are not actually comforting things that you're saying to me.
Oh no, they are. You just haven't realized it yet. Why don't you rest? You seem to be putting yourself under a lot more stress than is necessary.
I will wait. I won't leave. I will wait for this, whatever this is, to be resolved, and trust that you'll figure something out.
Yeah, where did he come from?
A portal? Why is this happening? With portals everywhere. Fucking
Yeah.
Finnegan now, and now this, and it was full of flames, and he was on fire, and then he was there.
I got a religion check on that one, because I got 21 in total. Like, does that ring any sort of bells to Eridu's experiences in life?
Oh shit!
It would maybe remind you of a spell, because I already know spells and magic and stuff, right?
He does now. At the very beginning, he did not, but yeah.
It sounds, from the description that Leah gave, it sounds a little bit like it is kind of a spell, or an ability, of hurl through hell, that you would know that some warlocks can do.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah, I'll just look at her strangely and say, wow. I knew a man once. He fiddled in some weird arts, and he liked to show off. And he seemed to be able to travel through places, very bizarre places that I wouldn't want to follow. But if this person is anything like that man, we should keep an eye on him. It means that he's likely formed a pact with something not wonderful. I say as I think about the fact that I have ticks in my head.
Yeah, I mean, Leah's not going to think of it in relation to anything she's doing at all. What are warlocks? What?
Right.
Weird. So she'll frown at Eridu and say, see if you can ask him I realize that not every tiefling necessarily is going to know Shar. That would be stereotyping. But if anything, that there should be a question there, I would think. I thought she was going to be doing some things. Like, I told her not to include me, but I assumed that she would be doing something.
Perhaps. I've never met a tiefling before. This is interesting.
Well, Egner is not a good person to ask for opinions on tieflings, because apparently all he does is get drunk with them and cheat at cards, so...
I'm pretty sure he was talking about dwarves.
Whilst this is going on, I would like, sitting at the campfire, I want to suddenly remember something. And I start patting myself down, and I go into all my little traveling pockets, just realize nobody can see my arm gestures, this must look really weird, and just, check my entire body for something, and I just can't find it. I stand up, and once again, favorite curse, son of an Asimar, and I just start marching back towards the building that I appeared in, and my head's facing the ground. I'm searching for something, and just when Eridu and Leah are kind of finishing off their conversation there, I just kind of burst into the room, and I see a small disc lying just about where the portal popped up, and I pick it up, look at it, give it a little, just blow it, kind of whack it against my hand, give it a little listen. Right, I told you never to lose this, and I just pop it into my pouch, and I look up and I go, oh, bad time.
We weren't actually
I
in
was
the room, but
interested.
we could say we were like at the entrance of it or something.
Yeah.
Like near it, 'cause, like between the Digloo and the fire or something. So we're just like there, and so we're just like turn and staring after you as you burst in there and then come back out again.
Come back at it, just, oh, sorry, bad time.
No.
I just kind of stretch a little bit. You can hear my spine kind of crack and just loosen up a bit.
I feel like we need to be asking a lot more questions.
Of course.
Sounds fun.
Uh-huh.
And then I just start walking back towards the campfire.
I will, catch your stride and walk with you. And my first question will be, why don't you have any questions for us?
I've found that questions tend to either help or hinder you, and I'm not particularly willing to take the risk of any hindering. You haven't tried. Okay, you've tried to kill me, but nobody else has. So I usually take that as a good sign.
Oh, no, I only warned you. If I was going to kill you, you would be dead.
You could try.
Ocean battle.
Just smirks that,
Ocean.
but his hand moves to his short sword.
Eridu will remember that.
That'll be fun.
Do we need to take a break?
I
Is it a good time to...
think it's a
I
good
thought
time.
we were going to not do that.
No, I think we can take
No,
a
I
break.
know
I mean,
this is a good time.
no, I mean, we'll get back to the little dick measuring contest that you guys have going on. Like.
I have a spear. Everyone knows
Eridu's
a
is
spear.
bigger. Maybe, I don't know.
Just play.
Wouldn't
Just
matter.
play.
He's not caught up in his penis size.
Just
Just his short sword
Size doesn't
size.
count. It's what you do with it, and he obviously is well practiced.
Obviously. Well, on that note, talking about that exact topic, hey, let's take our break, everyone. It's been a fun start of the episode. I'm very, very excited that Matthew has joined us, and if you want more of Matthew, come back in about 15 minutes, and
We always want more of Matthew.
we'll see you soon.